How's it going, guys? Coach Chris here from Fit to the Court, coming at you with another tip of the week. And this week I wanted to keep the ball rolling as far as talking about realistic or unrealistic expectations. And today I really want to break down some of the mechanics of the behaviors that we're trying to establish and talk about what we can and can't control during this process of trying to establish new habits in order to get the results that we want, whether it's fat loss or improving skills or even just becoming successful with anything, really. So I'm just going to dive right in here. We're going to be talking about the conscious and subconscious, and for the most part I'll be talking about how it relates to fat loss. Okay, so with the conscious, this is the part of your brain that you mostly identify with yourself. Okay, this is your inner voice, your inner dialogue. All right, so this is supposed to be you. This is like a picture of any person, right? And then it's also a part of your brain that you use for analysis and dealing with new activities. Okay, so whether it's a new skill, a new exercise, or a new nutritional practice, you're gonna have to use that conscious brain to do it because it's not a skill or a habit yet, which is what is executed by your subconscious. Okay, so over here you've got your subconscious. This is more of kind of this imaginary spirit or something. It's part of your brain that you don't really have a whole lot of control over, but simply executes a lot of the actions that we've just done over the years and repeated. So once again, this is kind of our autopilot part of our brain and executes the skills and habits of our life. So some good examples are like your morning routine or driving, right? Like your morning routine, you're getting up out of bed, you're getting dressed, you're brushing your teeth, doing all these activities that you've repeated millions of times, all right? So it's activities that are almost hard for your brain not to do, okay? Trying to make changes to something like your morning routine or driving are really hard because you've already ingrained so many of these skills and habits, okay? So we're going to talk about some of the characteristics of each and why it's so important to be aware of them in order to take control and make these long-term changes. Okay. So as far as energy source, with the conscious, you're dealing with a really limited amount of source of energy, where your subconscious is dealing with an infinite source of energy. Okay. So your brain's always going to want to use the subconscious, no matter what problem it comes across or some cue it comes across. If you're hungry, it's going to want to resort to some habit that you have already, okay? Because it's so easy. Not only is it working off an infinite source of energy, but it works really quickly, all right? When something comes about, when some problem or skill comes about and you've already developed the skill or habit to deal with it, your body is set up to just do it automatically, okay? When you're using your conscious brain, you're working off a really limited source of energy. So any type of activities you've got going on in your life that require analysis or new activities, like if you just have a job or your life just is always dealing with new things, if you've got a kid or you've got like a career that you're constantly making these important decisions or something, you're gonna have to share the resource, okay? Say if you're trying to practice this new healthy nutrition practice, okay? Not only are you gonna have to be fighting against all these skills that you've already ingrained over the years, but you're gonna have to be working off a limited source of energy, okay? So it's really important to manage your willpower, okay? That's one of the reasons why it's so important to manage your willpower, because just to do that new activity over and over again, it takes a lot of energy, all right? Not only that, but it's really slow. Your ability to do that activity that's not a skill yet is really going to be strenuous, because not only is it hard, it's slow, you haven't practiced enough of it yet, but you're using a ton of energy to do it as well, okay? Now we'll change the pace up a little bit. Your conscious brain does learn fast, okay? This is kind of a change rate. This is your ability to learn, okay? So your conscious brain can change really quick based on something that you read or something that you hear, okay? All it has to do is seem rational, okay? And your brain will pick it up, okay? If you if you previously thought that it was okay to be sleeping for only 5 hours a night, 4 hours a night, and then suddenly you learn from a credible source, oh my God, I'm supposed to be sleeping 7 to 8 hours a day, your brain's opinion about it changes like that, okay? So you actually have quite a bit of control over your conscious brain. You have control over the things that you say or think about, for the most part. I mean, there's all kinds of things like memories and emotions and subsequent actions and primers that determine it for the most part, but we're able to have some control over it, okay? Your subconscious, on the other hand, changes really slowly because you have to repeat something multiple times for your subconscious to actually take it on as a new habit and be able to employ it whenever a cue comes up. So, not only is it slow and requires a ton of patience, but you don't really have much control over it, okay? So we think, you know, we end up feeling bad about not being able to execute some of these actions. We feel bad about not having control over actions. We learn about certain things, but we're not able to act on them, and so we end up feeling bad. But if you know that you don't really have control over it, then you're not expecting yourself to have control over it. The only way you're going to be able to control it is through repetition, okay? So let's use an example of a challenge or a quick fix diet, okay? Okay, so we're gonna lose 20 pounds in 6 weeks, right? We're gonna overhaul all of our eating habits at once, each of which are gonna require a ton of habit because they're all new activities, right? So we're working off of this limited source of energy. However, we've got all these primers that are kind of hijacking all of our old habits, hijacking our subconscious, like motivation, and it's a time restraint. You know, we know we're only gonna have to do it for a certain amount of time, so of course we're gonna have all that motivation, and we know we're gonna get the results. So it's instant gratification all day, right? So we've got all these primers getting us to do all these activities for just a short amount of time, but eventually, especially once the motivation and novelty starts to wear off there, and time goes by, you're working through all that energy to where eventually you get depleted, and then you're forced to resort to your old habits, right? Which are, you know, the habits that kind of got you where you're at in the first place. And that's where we end up withering away all the results and going back to where we were. We end up gaining all the weight back, all right? So instead of overhauling and using all of that energy at once, we need to start small and conservative, okay? We need to start with one habit, learn how to master that habit, and make it a part of the subconscious for us to expect to be able to maintain it, all right? So at the end of the day, guys, we're defined by our actions, not beliefs, all right? It's important to have a good sense of awareness, right? But unless we're able to do it in the way our brain works, okay, it's not going to be consistent. And our actions and beliefs aren't going to be lined up, and then we're going to just have this war in our head between our conscious and subconscious. Our conscious knows we need to be doing this, but our subconscious is still ongoing and employing all the things that we've been doing for like our whole life pretty much, okay? And ultimately, we need to reward our behaviors, not our results, okay? Now, of course, we like to see our results going in the right direction, but it's not just temporary results that we're looking for, right? We're looking for long-term results. We're looking for being able to maintain those results from actions that are coming from this guy, okay? From the subconscious, all right? That's the only way it's going to be able to be consistent, right? It takes a long time. It might take years, but ultimately, 3 or 4 years down the road, you're better off having knocked all those habits out and mastered them rather than riding that roller coaster of gaining and losing the same 20, 30 pounds, okay? Anyway, that's it for today, guys. I know that was a little bit lengthy, but, you know, I really just want to give you guys the real solutions, you know? I want to see you guys succeed, and I'm tired of just giving you little tidbits here and there. I want to give it to you all at once and really make it stick there, okay? If you have any questions, let me know. I'm here. You know, as you can see, I love talking about it. And hope you guys have a great week. See you next time.